And a good welcome to another week. Hello, thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. University Senior Staff Association begins strike today as students ready to return to campuses. They are unhappy about market premium, Tier 2 arrears and plans by government to move university teacher payroll to Controller General. We check on some campuses. In Ghana's coronavirus cases dropped significantly, with new cases standing at 398 as of 16th October and 13 more deaths. We hear the very latest as we discuss what's been working for Ghana and how to keep the infection rates low. And the housing deficit keeps widening as acquiring homes get more and more complicated and expensive. We speak to the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, which has concerns about housing policy, and we tell you what Ecobank Ghana, in collaboration with the JoyNews Habitat Fair, is offering in the midst of these difficulties. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube and on our social media platforms. You can send us a WhatsApp on 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. You're welcome to the show. I'll take you through the details now. Now, the Senior Staff Association of Universities, especially University of Ghana, has started a strike. They had issued a warning earlier that they start today after they raised concerns about what they describe as deteriorating conditions of service. At a news conference in Accra a while ago, the national chairman of the association, Abdul Majid Yusuf, said all the attempts made to get governments to address their concerns regarding award on market premium and payment of their Tier 2 arrears for retired colleagues have proven futile. There is more in this report by Kweku Asante.
The Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana, will from Monday, 19th October 2020, withdraw its services over what it describes as government failure to address the deteriorating conditions of service of senior staff of public universities in Ghana. Here is Abdul Majid Yusuf announcing the industrial action.
Pursuant to the ultimatum, which was copied to the National Labour Commission, and government's insensitivity to our plight, we hereby declare a withdrawal of our services with effect from Monday, 19th October 2020. All members of the Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana, SSAU of G, are required to lay down their tools and hoist red flags across all campuses.
The staff is attributing this to the award of market premium to lecturers and other staff of public universities without considering the senior staff. The association claims this is discriminatory.
The award of market premium to our senior colleagues and comparators in other public institutions, in our candid opinion, was unscientific and discriminatory. It was merely based on academic/professional qualification rather than output-driven. We wish to state categorically that a good number of us within the senior staff cadre are even more qualified academically and professionally than some of our senior colleagues. Furthermore, the award of the market premium does not only defeat the purpose for the introduction of the single spine salary structure, but also seeks to deepen the dam and nurse syndrome that has characterized university administration over the years.
The Senior Staff Association is also complaining about moves by government to migrate universities' payroll to the Controller General's payroll system.
In previous correspondence to government, we enumerated several reasons why universities' payroll should not be migrated to the Controller and Accountant General's payroll system. We reiterate our call to government to stop the subtle moves to do so. Instead, we strongly advocate for a special dispensation akin to that granted to the security services and other public institutions such as Cocoa Board.
Senior staff of the public universities include administrators and other members who are not lecturers, including accountants, among others. The association also says although they sympathize with government as a result of the financial difficulties it is going through by virtue of the coronavirus pandemic, they want their concerns addressed regardless.
Yes, we all know that the COVID has dealt every Ghanaian a blow. And when the COVID, in fact, was so, let me say, intense, we decided not to do what we are doing now. And we endured whatever every other Ghanaian endured. We gave our support. And we think that government is a going concern. Up to this point, at least we should hear something. The budget, for the next year, has to take.
Well, that report was filed last week. Let's get to Kumasi. Our correspondent Prince Appiah has been checking with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Prince joins me now. Hello, Prince. Prince?
Hello, Gifty. Can you hear me?
Right, Prince. So we've seen the issues raised by those at the University of Ghana, but we know that this is a nationwide strike. Is that the sense you're getting at the KNUST campus?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting here. Right from about 10 a.m. today, the members of the Senior Staff Association went around the campus. They first went to the Vice Chancellor's office where they had some interaction with her. The main reason was to let her know that they are going around to compel their members not to work today. So they went around the campus, went to the University Basic School, went to the KNUST Hospital, went to some of the administration offices, and asked their workers not to continue working. They all came out and joined, and they are saying that they are going to enforce this from tomorrow going. Nobody is going to come to the university premises, offices to work. And so the strike began today, yesterday.
And you say that they went out to the classrooms. The Senior Staff Association members went out to the classrooms and tried to get their other colleagues who work on the campus not to work. Did they listen to them?
Yes, they listened to them. The only challenge was those who were in the hospitals. They allowed them to continue work today, and that from tomorrow, nobody should come to the hospital. Members of the association shouldn't come to the hospital. And they comprise of laboratory technicians, sonographers, nurses, and some administrative staff.
What response has the University Authority given?
For the University Authority, they say this is between the government and the staff association, and it's not the university and the staff association. So they do not play any part in this particular issue.
I see. The issues that the Senior Staff Association raised here in Accra, they say government subtle attempts to migrate them onto onto Controller and Accountant General's payroll rather than the university payroll. They say they want to remain on the university payroll. They also talk about Tier 2 payments that have not gone to their retired colleagues. And then they talk about market premium, which is given their colleagues, which is university lecturers, for example, but not given them. Are these the same concerns that those in the Ashanti region have?
Yes, Gifty, exactly. These are the three main points, three main concerns they have been trumpeting right from the morning. They have issues with the market premium, and their worry is that for a long time, government seem not to care, seem not to address these concerns they've raised for a long time. And as a result, they are joining their counterparts in Accra and in other universities across the country to embark on this strike action. What they told me is that they are not going to relent on it. They are going to enforce it from tomorrow. They are going to put together a task force to go around where all the offices where their members are supposed to work and ensure that the members comply with this particular directive not to work until government keep to their demands.
Prince, thank you very much. Prince Appiah joining us from the Ashanti region, where the strike is also ongoing at the KNUST campus. It started here at the University of Ghana campus as well. And that's they're saying it kicks off much stronger tomorrow. We'll be on the ground to bring you more on that. Let me take you away from that story. Now, police in the central region are appealing to the public to volunteer information as they continue to investigate claims that Aguna West MP and Gender Minister has been targeted to be killed. Over the weekend, police arrested 4 heavily built men with cutlasses, knives and other suspicious items at a Swedru hotel. Campaign team members of the gender minister alleged they have intelligence that the 4 were contracted to assassinate the minister. But the Central Regional Police Commander, DCOP Habiba Chumesi, who has been interacting with the Central Regional Correspondent, says further investigations are ongoing to unravel whether or not there is any substance to these allegations against the Member of Parliament for Aguna West.
We had intelligence that some well-built or macho men were lodging in a hotel, and there was suspicion that probably they would be committing or planning to commit an offense. So they were picked. 4 of them were picked, and I directed that they bring the suspects to the region. So it's under investigation. For now, what I will tell you is that we are still investigating, and the culprits will be put to court if we found something. They will be charged. They have already been given a provisional charge, and members of the public should continue to give us information, because police thrive on information, and any information that you give will be worked on, and nobody should say that this information is too small. That might be the key that will help us first prevent crime and reduce the fear of crime, and secondly, it will help us to unravel crimes that will build confidence in members of the public. And the police is on top in the region, and they should continue to trust us, have confidence in us, knowing very well that their police is on top of the situation. So far, I would say that investigation is ongoing. Some arrests have been made, which I wouldn't like to go too much into that. Some were picked from Mankesimi South and Kumasi. The arrests have been made, but still investigation is ongoing.
Central Regional Correspondent Richard Kojonyako is joining me right now to give us more details. Hello, Richard. Richard, let's start with what more we know at this point.
Well, so let's start from the Aguna West constituency, where the 4 suspects were picked from the hotel. In fact, we are told by the police that they found on them some weapons and then a checkbook. The police are still investigating the matter and want to keep a lot of the information to their chest, because they sincerely believe that there are a lot more they can unravel from this one. For now, they say that they cannot link it to an assassinated plot on the life of the MP for Aguna West and the gender minister, and neither are they also ruling that one out. And so the police say that they need to investigate further before they could come out to the public with more information on that. But what we are picking from our sources within the police is that the checkbook or the check that was found, 2 set of checks that were found on these people, it bore the name of a candidate of one of the political parties contesting this year's election. But the police say that they would want to investigate it a bit further before they come out with that.
Do the police have concerns that being an election year, that people could be throwing some of these stories all over the place just to some way, somehow sidetrack some of their investigations? Or are they treating it as a normal, usual, everyday security-related stories?
Well, so in the case of the Aguna West, to the point that the gender minister has written her statement with the police, complaining that these people have been after her life. They are not ruling these ones out. And it is not only the scenario. They also cite the scenario that happened, the prank robbery that happened at the University of Cape Coast. They say that it is a grand plot that people would want to say that the country is insecure, or the region generally is insecure. You know, the central region is not a region any of these political parties would say that this region is for us or that region is for us. So they would want to be very careful, and that is why they've been engaging the political parties, the actors in there. They've been engaging the traditional authorities, and they're appealing to the youth out there to make them sing the song of peace so that the region will be generally peaceful. But they have identified some hotspots. Remember that about 2 weeks ago, the IGP was in the central region, and the regional minister made an appeal of the Kaswa area, the Wutusenya West and East, where in the registration process, we witnessed some violent activities also at the Jumako area and a few other hotspots that the police say that they are deploying more men to ensure that there is general peace. So they say that they are on top of their game.
Very well. Before you go, Richard, do we have any update on the Fantiman MP's murder?
Well, so the update we have is that still the people that have been picked are 5. The suspects are currently in the police custody in the police headquarters. We were also told that the first vice chairman of the Fantiman constituency of the MPP was also picked up to write his statement, and so has since been released. And there are other people that who have also been invited by the police to write their statement as well in connection with that. We are also told that the MP's wife, who is replacing the member of parliament who died, would be filing her nomination by tomorrow, and then the campaign actually will kickstart. But the police say they want the general public to volunteer information to them, because since it is through that they would be able to enhance their investigative processes.
Richard, I say a very big thanks to you for that update there. We'll keep our eyes on you for the rest as and when they come in. Richard Kojo-Nyakon is our correspondent in the Central Region. Speaking about security, Defense Minister Dominican says the military is in control of the recent past secessionist activities in the Volta region and ready to ensure a peaceful 2020 elections. Speaking at the launch of the United Nations at 75 event at the Accra International Conference Center, he stated that government has been engaging authorities in the Volta region to win their hearts, as the NPP government is committed to protecting the peace of the country.
Has put in every effort to ensure that we remain a one nation and we remain peaceful. As I said, I can assure you that government will continue to give all the resources to the men in uniform to ensure that Ghana is peaceful. We have been engaging everybody, the chiefs, the opinion leaders, the people in the area, to win the hearts and minds of all the people in the area. And I can assure you that as the Minister for Defense, the National Security Minister is there, the Interior is there, and our service chiefs and opinion leaders and the people who work with us, we can assure you that we will ensure that we usher Ghana through this transition that we face, this problem that we face, and we'll come out very victorious at the end. And I want to thank the people of the Volta region for the support, enormous support. We met the chiefs and they pledged to support us. If you hear of all the massive arrests and fishing out of all the corporate, it is the support of the people themselves. They are working actively with the peacekeepers, and then our security agencies. So I want to encourage them to continue to do that. They should continue to work with our security agencies, give them information, let them know exactly the criminals that we are dealing with, so that we can fish them out of our society, unite this country and move forward. And I can assure you the election will be peaceful. The security agencies are on top of our affair. I've always said that an MPP government would not do anything, to mar the peace that we enjoy in this nation. The President has promised, and I stand on behalf of the President again to say that this government will not do anything to mar the peace that we have. We will rather allow the will of the people to take place than do anything just because of power. I can assure you that.
Well, last night, President Akufo-Addo faced Ghanaians one more time, the 18th since the outbreak of COVID-19 from March. From the periods in March and April when daily cases were in the hundreds, he announced a significant drop in the number of active cases and even better figures for daily infections. Now, these figures are what President Akufo-Addo gave out. New cases are 62. Active cases, by the way, 398, and recoveries and discharged 46,664. Unfortunately, 310 deaths so far, the latest number being 13. So total confirmed cases so far 47,372, but of course we have a little over 300 that's active at the moment. Now, these are the figures that President Akufo-Addo put together. He says they are impressive. and he went ahead to ease the restrictions aimed at halting the spread. It is a good story in a period of pandemic where many countries are still struggling with the infections in some of the most advanced countries. Well, thanks largely to people's adherence to the protocols but are put in place by government. Well, that comes with a lot of caution as well as the country eases up.
As of Friday, 16th October, the number of active cases has declined further to 398, with 46,664 persons fully recovered from the virus, putting our recovery rate at 98.5%. 13 more deaths have occurred. The strategic, controlled, progressive, safe easing of restrictions continues, with its overarching objective being to restore our lives and economy back to normal. Football, the passion of the nation, will return in 2 weeks. Private burials, still with a maximum of 100 persons, are being performed, and the limit on the numbers of persons who can attend conferences, workshops, and award events has been lifted, subject to the strict adherence of COVID-19 protocols.
President Curfew there. So how did we get here, and what do the figures mean for us? Biologist Dr. Amoisi with the KCCR shed some light on News Desk this morning.
I think it's really important to put all these things into perspective, and I may begin to sound like a broken record because these are things that I've shared over and over again. There is no doubt that the picture is better than it used to be. I think this is without question. One may argue that how good the picture is may be difficult to determine, yet we can say with some amount of confidence that it is good. I say this because the arguments that perhaps our testing has gone low, which is very true nonetheless, would reduce our ability to detect cases is a valid argument, because the less you are testing, the less you will see. But I've always maintained, and I see again, that when people fall sick, you can't hide that. And ultimately, when people die, you cannot hide that.
You certainly cannot hide it when people die. Well, this afternoon, we find out how to consolidate the gains and even achieve zero infections rate, if that's possible. Dr. Dacosta Buaji is Director of Health Promotion and leader of National Risk Communication and Social Mobilization Committee for Ghana's COVID-19 response team. He's joining us for more via Zoom. Hi, Doc. Thank you for your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm not too bad. So let's look at what we're learning right now. A little over 300, well, almost 400 active cases. A lot of people have asked the question, how did we get here? You heard Dr. Amoisi say that we have changed our case definition. I mean, from the beginning, we've changed it, how the rigorousness that we attached to everything that we did about COVID since in March has changed. How do you explain to people that these are not the reasons why we are having lower numbers, and it's not because we're taking care of ourselves?
Thank you. I think we should put it into perspective. You see, when we started, we had a strategy, and our strategy was the 3T approach, where we trace, we test, and treat. Now, the lesser the new cases, certainly the contacts will certainly reduce. Trust me, we continue to do the contact tracing. We've not stopped. We continue to do the testing. And we continue to give treatment to those who are sick. Ideally, one would have expected that even if people are arguing that we are not testing, then bear in mind, some of the infected persons were also symptomatic. So you would have expected that at least some people would be reporting to hospital very sick. That is also not happening.
So I can say that our strategy has worked and it keeps working. Now, if you listen to the president carefully, he sounded a word of caution that we have to tread cautiously because of the behavior of the virus. By this, our weapon is to comply with the safety protocols so that we know that, obviously, if people are complying with the protocols, then we have a guarantee that certainly, at least, we can reduce the infection to zero. So the fact is, as a country, the strategies put in place by government has been working, and we certainly have to sustain this by making sure that the population also comply with the safety protocols. And that is our only weapon. I keep telling friends that our medicine is the safety protocol. So that is what we have to do. If you look at the strategies that we've put in place since the pandemic started, they've been, obviously, they were very strict, and we still continue to maintain some strict protocols. So that has actually helped.
Yeah,
and
there are times.
Has been one of the key things. Yeah.
There are times you go out there and you see people. I live in a place where right there at my junction, it's a pub. And anytime I get there, it's a completely overloaded pub with nobody wearing masks. Is it possible that because we are not testing and people are probably not reporting to health institutions, and so we are not getting exactly the figure? It perhaps a good thing that we're not getting sick because then, like Dr. Moise said, we'll feel it in the hospitals. But going forward, what is government's strategy to consolidate these gains, so to speak, so that we don't go back to this second wave that we're seeing across Europe and in the United States of America?
I think our strategy should be education. And you see, education within the communities should be our guiding principle. It should be our core. It should be our collective effort to make sure that, you see, this is the time that, to me, we have to explain the things to the populace and give them the reasons why they have to be wearing the face mask, the reasons why they have to be washing their hands, the reasons why they have to be doing exercise and also eating our local food to boost our immune system.
Okay.
Now, let me say this.
Wrap it up for me.
A lot of factors.
Wrap it up for me with what you want people to take away from this conversation today, Doc.
Okay, so what I want Ghanaians to know is that the infection is still in the country. And if we want to get to zero COVID-19 cases, then citizens must comply with the safety protocols, i.e. wearing of the mask and washing of the hands. I think these are very important to support government in its fight to reducing the infections to zero case.
Dr. Jose, very big thanks. I'm sure that in the course of the week, we'll probably get back to talk to you because elsewhere, the coronavirus is treating people really badly. Dr. Da Costa Abuaji is Director of Health Promotion, leader of the National Risk Communication and Social Mobilization Committee for Ghana's COVID-19 team. Now, we in Ghana don't seem to have that big of a problem, but the virus is back with a vengeance in Germany and around Europe. As infection rates rise sharply, state and national leaders over there are moving swiftly to control the resurgence of the pandemic, but their actions are having some unintended consequences. For more from Berlin, correspondent William Grocroft with our partners DW has been speaking to Benis Abubeidu Lansa. She first asked him how bad the coronavirus situation has become in Germany and Europe.
Well, it's become very worrying. Germany, just in the last 24 hours, has seen a rise in more than 5,000 new confirmed cases of COVID-19. That's up from more than 4,000 the day before, so it's an upward trend. Deaths are also up from 13 to 43 in the last 24 hours. And of course, that magic number of 50 cases per 100,000 people. Now, that's not truly grounded in full science or some politics at play there, but the general agreement is that you are a risk area, or there's a reason to be concerned when you have 50 cases per 100,000 people here in Germany. And at least 40 municipalities and cities in Germany, or about 10% of the country, has reached that limit. And that has many people, many public health officials, many politicians, quite worried, especially when you consider that we're only in October. The winter is only just starting. It's only just started to get colder. People are only just starting to have to move their social lives inside. So we're looking at a very long, cold, gray winter ahead of us. And while those numbers that I mentioned just a minute ago, they're, far below what we're seeing in Spain and France, the United Kingdom, where there are tens, in double digits, 10,000 or more daily new confirmed cases. It still reflects a doubling of the cases here in Germany in just a few weeks. So relative to where Germany's been over the summer months, it's quite a worrying place to be looking ahead to the winter months.
William, do we know what is causing the rise in infections?
Well, public health officials are really blaming, somewhat to a degree, people coming back from vacation spots during these school vacations, coming back from hotspot areas around Europe. But really, they're looking at private events, parties, weddings, these kinds of things, both inside and outside, which has led to new restrictions on the amount of people that can gather at once altogether, especially indoors. Here in Berlin, there's now a nighttime curfew. Bars have to be shut by 11 p.m. That's gotten a lot of pushback from bars, saying their livelihoods are being put at risk when they're not the problem. Many bars have been following the rules that were set out months ago, and it has nothing to do with these private events that might be taking place in apartments, in homes, in private event spaces. So there's a lot of uncertainty about what exactly is the best way forward to get a handle on the pandemic or the resurgence of the pandemic. Of course, it's never really been gone. It was just in a lull period in the summer months, and that's led to a lot of confusion all around Germany, where not only the different states, but even at a more local level, at district levels, in city levels, there are different kinds of rules based on who's allowed to come and not come from different areas, whether negative tests are required, whether there's quarantine requirements, what kind of penalties there are for not following rules. It's a whole mixed bag of what exactly the rules are, which is really leading to a lot of confusion among people, what exactly to do or not do.
William, so quickly tell us what the response has been so far and how officials hope to move forward.
Well, today Angela Merkel is meeting with the leaders of the 16 states in Germany to try to do just that, to try to avoid all of this mixed messaging that people are getting, to try to find a uniform answer to how to move forward. It should be a long, contentious meeting this afternoon. We won't hear anything for several more hours. It'll be their first time that they're meeting in person since this pandemic really began, and there's some hope that an in-person meeting instead of a video conference might add that little bit of extra personal touch, a little bit extra pressure to bring people together and to find some uniform rules across Germany and all across the European Union, which is also a big challenge.
William Glocroft there speaking to Benis Aboubeidu Lansa, and that was recorded last week. And so last week, that was the situation. This week, we get an update on Wednesday when we go to Germany. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty, and up here. I'm going to take a very quick break. When we return, we'll put a focus on Dom Kwabenya, the constituency. We have the person who's contesting Adwasafo. We'll talk to him, find out what his alternatives are. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Let me just remind you that we're standing by to go to the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. They are ready to update the nation on nominations so far. They've titled it Update on Nominations, and it's supposed to start at 4 p.m. We'll bring you an update. But right now, let's focus on a particularly interesting constituency, Dom Kwabenya. It is located within the East District of the Greater Accra region of Ghana, and it was formed prior to the 2004 December presidential and parliamentary elections by carving the new Dom Kwabenya out of the Abokobi Madina constituency. Now, that seat was first won by the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, for the NPP, and it's currently held by Adwasafo, who won the 2012 and 2016 elections, again for the NPP. Now, the 2020 election promises to be keenly contested. Emmanuel Anderson Adongo is contesting as an independent candidate. He's seeking to wrestle power from the incumbent and also a Minister of State in charge of procurement, Sarah Adwasafo. and Mr. Adongo joins me in the studio. Mr. Adongo, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Gifty, for having me
on
JoyNews.
Right, you're welcome. So tell us a little bit about you. Who is Emmanuel Adongo, who wants to take the seat from the Sarah Adjasafo?
Well, once again, thank you, and I would like to greet my people in Dominican and every listener now. Yes, like you said, my name is Emmanuel Adongo Anderson. I live in Dominican. I've lived in Dominican for 20 good years. I'm a businessman. I have invested in my business in Dominican for the past 11 years.
What kind of business are you into?
I'm in the food industry.
Okay.
Right. And I grill the best chicken in Ghana.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. But you're also a member of the NPP.
I was.
Okay. So you have been a member of the NPP, which is what makes it a bit curious that a member or former member, whichever way it is, of the NPP will be contesting the party's candidate.
Yes, according to our constitution, I mean, when I say our constitution, I still have a soft spot for the party.
First of all, by the way, before I even come to you answering this question, what shows or what is there to prove that you are actually a card-bearing member of the party?
I chose not to bring my dues booklet and my party card because it's null and void.
That's okay, but just give us the proof. I mean, just tell us your involvement, your level of involvement in the party, even at the constituency level.
Yeah, in the constituency level, if you care to know, in my 20 years in Dominican, I have been actively involved in campaigning on my own because I have a big leverage in Dominican. I have a big following in Dominican. I have campaigned over the years in Dominican, especially for Adjosa for herself.
You used to campaign for her?
I even had a police station where I was attacked because I was trying to respond to an alarm that she gave that voters who vote and soil the ballot paper with their thumb would be counted as null and void vote.
Well, which election was this? 2012?
I'm talking about 2016.
2016.
Which I adopted 4 or more polling stations where I had to buy tissue paper to share among every voter. Clean your hands after voting.
So that you don't soil the ballots.
Yes.
The ballots paper.
So and I was a police patrol team was called on me, and just to say that I was doing something that was not right, but I had to do it. And
so she knows you personally?
I believe so, but she's never approached me personally.
You have not. You've not spoken to her, engaged her personally?
I only had she had the opportunity to talk to me when I decided to organize a demonstration in the colors of residents and business owners of Dominican.
I see. So you say you're a member of the NPP, but then you decided to still go as an independent candidate against the party's candidates.
Sure.
Why?
Because I believe that I have what it takes and I want to serve the people of Dominican. I believe Dominican people deserve better. The largest constituency in the country, voting for the NPP, I believe we deserve better than what our honorable member is doing for us. So
let's look at the things that she's doing and what you think she's supposed to do, which you think you would do better, for which reason you want people to vote for you. What are the key issues as a resident there and someone who wants to be member of parliament you've identified in Dominican?
Gifty, thank you. But if I should say, it might sound some way, but if I should say, for reality, Dominican has seen nothing so far.
Yes, let's not talk in abstract terms. So if you say nothing, so what is it that needs to be addressed? What are these issues?
So for example, we are seeing a large number of youth unemployment in Dominican.
Okay.
And my main reason for coming into this race is because of the youth. I'm a youth man and I'm well connected to the youth. And I believe that I have what it takes to deal with the youth because I understand the youth, I know what their problems are, and I believe I am the best person who can get the youth redirected on the right path to get to where we all think we should get to.
That's one problem you've given me. Give me at least 3 problems in Dominican Kwabena that you are looking to address if voted into power like you want.
So, for example, we talk about youth unemployment.
Yes, that's one. I want you to give me 2 more at least, so we can have 3, and then we'll look at how you intend to deal with those 3 issues. So, apart from youth unemployment, what else is there?
Businesses are collapsing. Okay. I am a business owner myself. I have invested in Dominican Kwabena for the past 11 years. I have employed a lot of the youth. I have employed most of the youth who work with me were coming in more like a shift. They come, they work. When it's time to school, they go to school. When they're on holidays, they come and work with me. Youth unemployment is too huge in Dominican Kwabena. And
okay, so I want you to, you've gone back to the youth unemployment, and I want you to move on to talk about other issues. Which other issues are there? You've mentioned youth unemployment, and you've talked about businesses and the fact that they're not thriving. Apart from that, what else? Which other problem is there?
Gifty, you agree with me that when we talk about development in communities, roads are very, very important. When you talk about roads, you talk about employment. It's indirectly connected. Okay. When the roads are done, businesses along the roads, you agree with me that small-scale businesses contribute about 90% of our GDP. And we employ a lot of the youth, especially unskilled youth, because you talk about SHS graduates who have come home and are not able to go to the university. They need to get engaged in some kind of business. When the roads are bad, you would agree with me that people don't ply the roads often, and businesses along the roadsides, they don't function well. So that if the roads are good, any business on the roadside get people plying the road, and you get them being patronized. And when businesses are being patronized, you get them improving or they grow. And when they grow, growth means more employment.
So you've talked about unemployment, youth unemployment. You talk about businesses that are not thriving. You talk about bad road networks. What is your plan? Should the people of Dominican Kwabena decide that they will not vote for Adwoa Safo and then they will vote for you, what plan do you have to fix these problems?
Thank you once again. Talking about roads, for instance, which I believe that when roads are fixed, Dominican Kwabena is not a poor community. Dominican Kwabena is a community, it's a cosmopolitan community that you have all sorts of tribes living there, and a lot of businesses going on there. If we fix the roads, businesses will thrive. And when businesses thrive, people, the youth will be employed.
You said that already. What I want you to address is what your plan is. Because, I mean, here is a member of parliament who is in leadership. He's the deputy speaker in parliament. She's one of the deputy speakers in parliament. She's been in this position, won a lot of votes for you. You are saying that this person's plan is deputy majority leader, deputy majority leader she is. And you're saying that this person's plan is not working for the constituency.
Yeah.
So what is your plan that is superior to Adwoa Safo's plan? For which reason the people should vote for you?
So I'm going to make sure that first and foremost, I work on making sure that at least with our almost 70 to 80% roads that are bad, I lobby seriously for them. You see, there are some issues when it comes to even the roads. There are some portions of the roads that are so bad that they create a lot of inconvenience and create a lot of traffic. Let me give you an example of one of the important roads that she hasn't been able to pay attention to, and I'm surprised about that.
Which road?
When you get from Hacho, when you're going to Ashoman, Kwabena, there is a place we call the transition. And the transition has a connection into Kwabena. And we call that road the Bosher Road. The Bosher Road has been ignored. That Bosher Road from transitions, when that road is done, is going to reduce traffic drastically. And I don't think you need rocket science to identify some of these problems and deal with them.
You say
some
you are going to lobby.
I am going to lobby, put pressure. Sometimes I can tell you
she's much closer to
but
power
her voice is not heard.
Don't you think? You think she's not lobbying enough?
She's not lobbying enough. Her voice is not heard. She hasn't got that voice that is supposed to be heard. I have that voice.
How do you mean she hasn't got the voice?
Well, because nothing is happening then. If nothing is happening, then she is not doing what she has to do. And we all know that as a member of parliament, you are to legislate. However, you are supposed to what? Lobby for projects, developmental projects in the constituency. I am going to lobby. I am going to put pressure. I am not going to give in to any other responsibility. My responsibility as a member of parliament in Dominican is to work for the people, is to make sure that what the people of Dominican, Hacho, Boshe, Pure Water, Abokobi, Domi, all those places that are lacking all the basic things that they need to make life just comfortable.
I see.
I am going to make sure that I put in my voice, that loud and powerful voice that I will put in there and then make sure that those things are done. Yeah. However, if I should add this, you see, as a member of parliament, you are more like a leader of the community. We want a leader who can create a good rapport with the people who live in the community. We have well and doing people who can. Well, if you are able to bring them together, we can start solving some of the problems. Government can solve all of our problems. And if you want to sit back and say government is coming, no. I am going to make sure that I create that rapport with the people in the constituency. Even if it's one city contribution, we can solve some of the basic problems that would ease the pressure in Dominican.
Okay. As an independent candidate,
yeah,
you are required to, when you get to parliament, or if you get to parliament, to align. You either sit with the NPP or sit with the NDC, because they are the parties in parliament at the moment. Who will you be aligning with?
Gifty, as much as I have been an NPP member, and my understanding of parliament is that, you see, in parliament, so far over the years, you have, if NDC is in power, it's an NDC agenda. If NPP is in power, it's NPP agenda. Fair enough. But we do not have a Ghana agenda. And I believe that once parliament is the heart of development, once parliament is the heart of governance, the independent candidates, we need to have the independent candidates in parliament, so that when NDC says that this is this, NPP says that no.
We're not at that level where you have the number of independent candidates.
I am coming in and I'm going to advocate and encourage people
that's not how it works in parliament. That's not how it works. The way it works is that you have to be either on this side or on that side. You have to choose one.
No, but if NDC says this and NPP says this, and I don't agree with the two of them, and I think I am interpreting what the people are saying.
Yes.
Then
but when it comes to voting, you cannot vote as one person. That's only one vote you have.
We have members of parliament walking out of parliament because of voting. They walk out. So if I feel that I don't believe in what NPP is saying and I don't believe in what NDC is saying, I would not vote.
I see. Let's wrap up with what Adwoa has done for the party in the election. So if you look at her vote, she had in the last election she had 63,488 votes, as against the NDC's 29,392. Now that's a very huge margin, and that's a lot of votes. And if you look at how it translated into the performance of the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, there, he had, 62,000. So you're looking at something that's very, so it looks like the people who voted for Adwoa are probably the people who voted for the presidency. So, and I think a little over 1,000 more voted for her than they even voted for the. Bottom line is that NPP she has done very well for the NPP in that constituency. Why wouldn't you stay an NPP member and push, this Adjosafo agenda, which seems to be working for the party? Why split the votes? If you have supporters who are NPP supporters, why split the votes?
Gifty, let me say that Dominican Kwabenya is an NPP World Bank, okay? But it doesn't mean that it is Adjosafo that is making Dominican Kwabenya for NPP. We, the people in Dominican Kwabenya, know and want the NPP. So we are forced to vote for her because we would not want to vote for the NDC.
Okay.
Now, I can tell you with all confidence, we are tired. Ghanaians are discerning people now. We are understanding the kind of politics that is being played. And I believe that Adjosafo has failed woefully. And I, Adongo, I understand the problems of Dominican Kwabenya, and I am coming to solve the problems of Dominican Kwabenya.
Okay. Let's wrap up. Look at the camera, by the way, you're talking to the constituents in Dominican Kwabenya, and tell them in what 30 seconds? Do we have 30 seconds? 1 minute? 45 seconds maybe? Convince them why they should not vote for someone who has won 63,000 plus votes for the party, for the NPP, and choose you over that person.
63,000.
63,488 votes she had.
The last number that made it 88 was my vote. Okay? I have voted for her all this while.
So,
but I believe now that she is not doing what I decided to vote for her to do. And I believe that in making my decision to go independent, I have what it takes to serve the people of Dominican Kwabenya better. So at this stage, I would say, Dominican Kwabenya, the market woman, with the kind of business I do, I've always been in the market. It's so sad. You see, one of the
You're
sad
talking to the
things,
people. That's the last thing you're doing. You're talking to the people. So don't
I shouldn't go more. I wish I had more time.
Yeah, it's a moment for you to speak to the people and convince them to vote for you. Give you that vote.
The market women, Domi market for Domi youth, Kwabenya youth, Hacho youth, Boshe youth, I am coming for you. You are the reasons why I am coming as an independent member of parliament. I am coming to make sure that myself together with you, we are able to sit down on a round table, make decisions, agree, disagree, and decide what is best for Dominican Kwabenya. So I am coming for you. My ghetto youth people, I know what you are going through. I am coming for you. You are the reason why I'm coming. Boshe, pure water, all your roads, I understand what you are going through. All the flood that is going through, I know. I am with you because every morning, every night, I am there. I see what you go through. I know and I understand your problems better. I am coming for you. Vote for me and I'll make sure that we solve all our problems together. Okay. Not me, together.
All right, so if Anderson Adongo Emmanuel is the man you believe in, well, you know what to do on December 7. For now, I say a very big thanks to you for coming, and I wish you all the very best as you go into the election. Ms.
Thank you very much, Gifty. It's nice to have been here.
Okay. All right, so this is your election headquarters, and we'll be here to bring you everything as it happens. And before it even happens, we have a whole lot, and you know that already. Right now, though, let's talk about JoyNews investigations. We have uncovered how some licensed buying companies and farmer society groups illegally rent their certification license for as high as 1 million Ghana cedis to wealthy businesses. Under the Cocoa Sustainability Initiative, farmers are paid an extra premium for growing certified cocoa. However, in many cocoa growing areas across Ghana, there is a blatant abuse of the system, giving rise to a situation where some LBC do not pay the appropriate premium and also pass regular cocoa as certified. These underhand dealings make the farmer poorer, defeating the purpose of the Cocoa Sustainability Program. There is more in our latest Hotline documentary, Robbing the Poor, by investigative journalist Kwete Nate.
It's another shady tale of exploitation of cocoa farmers. It's a web of shady deals involving officials of certification bodies, licensed cocoa companies, and cocoa interest groups.
Everything that we need to do to get a certificate is me.
We will take you on a journey to expose the crooks who are compromising the integrity of the International Cocoa Sustainability Program.
The actual work that we are going to do will just be like 10%, 90%, I will forge it.
It may appear as a simple case of poor implementation of the cocoa certification program. However, this is a complex, dubious, deliberate practice of buying and bagging conventional cocoa as certified cocoa. In this edition of Hotline, my colleague Kwete Nate digs into the rot that has characterized the cocoa certification program. He goes in search of hard evidence in major cocoa growing areas in the Ashanti, Western, Eastern, and Central regions, and shows how officials of certification bodies act as auditors and shadow staff to aid in the acquisition of certificates under million-dollar murky deals with key stakeholders in the cocoa sector, facilitating the entire process.
The cocoa sustainability programs are meant to improve on the livelihoods of the cocoa farmers. They are also meant to address the challenges we face in the supply chain, and then also to address the consumption and the processing aspect of it.
In the early 2000s, key players in the cocoa sector and consumers were concerned about the future of cocoa production. These concerns were about poor living standards of cocoa growers, the use of chemicals for cultivation of cocoa, and child labor on the farms. The Cocoa Sustainability Program was introduced so that cocoa farmers will be paid a price premium for producing high-grade cocoa under internationally approved certification standards. However, some licensed buying companies and farmer societies have compromised the entire process. Today, conventional cocoa is sold as high-grade certified cocoa. Wealthy individuals and organizations can also buy or rent the licenses of other cocoa buying companies. And then there is a whimsical, chaotic, and unregulated payment of premiums where cocoa farmers are paid a pittance for the certified cocoa. That's why we go undercover to expose those crooks robbing the poor.
Head of our agricultural desk, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, is joining me via Zoom. Hello, Joseph. Joseph, let's start with the Sustainability Cocoa Program. How really does it work?
So, just by breaking it down, the number of such sustainability programs within the cocoa sector that are running, they mainly run more like as corporate social responsibility initiatives that a lot of the cocoa sector players have running. So the big cocoa processing companies have such sustainability schemes running. The big license buying companies have sustainability schemes running. Now, the whole idea of certification sits in as one bit of it that seeks to help sustain the cocoa sector better. It's aimed at what they describe as trying to create thriving cocoa communities, because the idea is that the cocoa industry should be able to sustain itself for years to come, so that in the next 100, 200, 500 years, the communities can still grow cocoa and produce cocoa. Now, the certification scheme, as it works within the entire sustainability scheme, it's a structure where there are all these bodies that have set up as licensing entities. So we have Rainforest Alliance, which has come up repeatedly in the documentary that we had just running. Before that, there used to be another firm called UTS, which merged with Rainforest Alliance. There are a number of them. Conservation Alliance, which focuses on issues of deforestation and all. There is Fair Trade, which is also another certification scheme. So the way they work is this, that when, for example, you pick a bar of chocolate on the market in Europe or here in Ghana, and you have, let's say, a Rainforest Alliance certification on it, or a Fair Trade certification on it. The point is that they've defined standards by which you should produce the cocoa. And the standards include a lot of things. It includes avoiding deforestation as you are producing the cocoa. It includes avoiding the use of child labor even as you are producing the cocoa. It includes having situations where you are applying the right amount of pesticides and you are not overusing pesticides. So anyone who is buying any such cocoa product with such certification on it is firm in the mind that all the standards were met, even in producing the chocolate or, for that matter, the cocoa. And eventually, then consumers pay higher prices for this. And the idea is that the money resulting from this is plowed back into the cocoa communities, either to support the cocoa farmers as extra premium for each kilogram of cocoa that they produce, or then the money goes into things like providing water, providing solar panels, providing school infrastructure in the communities in question. And so that's essentially how it works. It's just like having, let's say, a Ghana Standard Board certification on your sachet water, which then says that the water has been produced using the very appropriate standards, except that in this case, this is very much private sector driven and not exactly government focused.
And what it means is that people are taking advantage of this scheme and making money. Explain to us how this has been abused in this documentary that Kwete Nate has put together, and why it inevitably makes the farmer poor.
So, first of all, it's a very good job that Kwete Nate has done there, going behind the scenes and uncovering some of the alleged fraudulent activities as they unfold in some of these cocoa communities. Now, there are two spheres of it. The first part has to do with situations where the forging is happening, and then we have circumstances where cocoa which hasn't gone through the right certification is being exported as certified cocoa, and additional premium is being paid by the consumers for it. So it's not all of Ghana's cocoa that is certified. And the way the certification scheme works is that, particularly for the cocoa industry, it mainly works with cocoa farmer groups, where they sign on to it. They'll go through a certain training on how they are supposed to produce their cocoa and all. Now, with the forging of some of these certifications and uncertified cocoa being sold as certified cocoa, the chances are that very soon the consumers who are paying the higher prices because they are convinced that that particular product of cocoa was produced using the appropriate standards will lose confidence in the said scheme, because then they'll be clear in their minds that the embossment showing that the cocoa is certified actually means nothing, and they may be unwilling to pay the higher prices for it. And what that means is that these premiums that farmers are likely to get going forward will be damaged to a certain extent. That's the first breath of it. But in the latter part of the documentary that Kwete Nate did, he pointed to a situation where even in some of the places where the premium scheme is working appropriately, the premium that's supposed to go back to the farmers is not being handed over to them as it should be in the various farming communities, because then we have the third parties who are supposed to help with the auditing, and even the leaders of the farmer groups, more like, dividing the money into two, paying portions of it to the cocoa farmer and them holding on to it. In one of the instances, the estimation was that when the premium comes in, the farmers are getting only about 25% of it, and then the rest are being more like stolen, in quotes, by other players within the scheme. Of course, that's a lot of cheating that shouldn't be happening. So in the documentary, at the very latter part, you heard from some of the cocoa farmers who are making the point that they've signed onto certification schemes, but they are not earning the additional premium from the said certification. Then it virtually discourages them from going through the process to allow them grow certified cocoa, and they want to go ahead and grow regular cocoa, because in fact, getting your cocoa certified requires a lot of investment because there are standards that you are supposed to meet before you can be part of a group that's able to sell out or export certified cocoa. And so this is something that should be looked at. If money is coming in and the farmers are getting only 25% of what is supposed to be the premium that they are earning, then of course it's more like cheating, it's more like fraud that the authority should be clamping down on. And obviously, a lot of the backstops with the said certification entities. A lot of them are foreign companies that have local partners. I'm sure when they are in their conference rooms abroad, they are convinced that the processes are happening as they ought to and that the farmers are benefiting. It calls for the need for increased supervision of the operations of those who are doing the work right here in Ghana so that then the farmers don't get cheated in the end.
And I'm sure that this documentary will certainly catch the attention of these groups that you refer to. Joseph, thank you very much for that breakdown of what this is all really about. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is head of our Agric and Technology desk, helping us to understand. This is our latest documentary by investigative journalist Kwete Nate. Now, shortly, we'll be taking you to the Electoral Commission headquarters where the results of the presidential nominations, if you like, we'll have an update on that nominations, but they've not started yet. We'll do a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, with Ghana's housing deficit worsening as the years go by, the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association and other stakeholders are calling for urgent reforms in the housing ecosystem. This year's JoyNews EcoBank Habitat Fair Clinic brought together key stakeholders in the construction industry, and they're there to share exciting ideas and offer attractive discounts to potential house owners and consumers. Greta is calling for urgent measures to bridge the housing deficit and deal with the challenge of mortgage products being the preserve of the rich. There is more in this report by my colleague, Kwekwa Asante. We'll bring you Kwekwa Asante's report later, but joining me in studio is Frederick Opoku. He's the Secretary General for the National Tenants Union. Mr. Opoku, it's good to have you. Good afternoon.
Fine, Gifty.
Right, so National Tenants Union of Ghana, help us understand what this group is really about.
Thank you very much, Gifty. I think National Tenant Union of Ghana, as I always say, is a like-minded group of people who believe that now the issues of housing is becoming something that is worrying, especially the poor tenant in this country. As you may be aware of, issues of housing and even renting now has become some kind of monstrous thing. That majority, almost about 11 to 15 million of people, are not able to even pay their rents, maybe which is about 2-3 years and thereabout. So we came together to have a collective voice to ensure that at least we can fight for our rights and to also draw to the attention of government and policymakers to understand that now the way to go is low-income housing, social housing, and not quote-unquote their so-called affordable housing, which doesn't help many in this country.
What are the kind of issues that your members have? List for us maybe 5 of them, of the key issues that your members have.
One, it has to do with the rent advance of 2 to 3 years, which is in breach of Article 25, subsection 5 of the rent laws of this country. We also have a problem of higher rents. People have to pay huge sum of monies. So if you are going to take just one bedroom apartment, you can imagine at any point, anywhere. I'm not even talking about the extreme places, the Legons and the what have you. But even places now, Ashoman Estate, for example, I remember a member who had a problem have to rent for 8,400 for a single year of course, yes, self-contained, single room, self-contained.
For how long?
For 22 months.
2 months?
22 months.
Oh, 22 months.
Yes.
Okay.
And just one bedroom, self-contained, and that is killing.
So rent advance. We have issues with rent advance and issues with the high cost.
We have also issue with landlords.
What's the issue with landlords?
They have disregard of the laws, forceful ejections, which is in breach of the rules of the game. We have an issue where majority of tenants in this country don't even consider agreements. That's a basic, basic form of, any contractual agreement between a tenant and a landlord. And because they are not aware of that, they need to be educated. There should be more kind of publicity, education to ensure that at least they do what is right. They should, first of all, do the agreement and enter into contractual and enforceable agreements. If you're going to rent and you want to give yourself to be ejected, then you have to look into the agreement that you sign with that. But the moment they pay money, finish. And the moment the landlord takes back the money, finish. He will try to delay them. Tomorrow come, before you realize that there's a problem. They want to eject them and bring another person over there, because after all, demand and supply is the king in the market. So
rent advance, the rent advance, the period of the rent advance, yes, which is long, the high cost of rent itself, yes, the landlord's behavior, yes, and which other problem
and most importantly, I think, according to I'm very much particular about the rent laws. Yeah. You see, that rent control departments are not doing what's expected of them. And for that reason, the landlords are taking leeway of the loopholes in the law. So we are saying that there are a lot more for them to do, as far as I'm concerned, with respect to the rent control issues. And until the rent control comes in to sanction and giving sanctions to the people, they are relegating their duties or responsibility just to solving issues or disputes, which is just one aspect
out of the landlord-tenant relationship.
Exactly. And that is until the rent law too is dead.
But let's look at the rent. So I wanted you to list these issues so that we can address them and see what's needed to fix the problem. Sure. You talk about rent advance. The fact is, if you go and you want to rent, someone else is standing by with money. So even though the law says you can't take beyond this, your fellow, should I say your fellow Ghanaian,
ready to pay.
who is also a tenant, is saying, look, if Kofi doesn't have the money, I have the money, I'm ready, give it to me. At the end of the day, it's about demand and supply. If I'm renting a house, I'm doing so, to make some money.
Who calls them?
Well, that's what I'm asking. How do we deal with this problem?
It's a rhetoric question that I'm asking. Now, who calls them? Now, government.
So you're blaming the government?
Of course, yes. One. Why are you blaming the government? If you go to their manifestos, what do you see? One promise to the other, one promise to the other, and one promise to the other. But nothing come to work. They try to pay lip service in anything that they do. And the lip service is not helping this country. Now, Gifty, if you care to know, we are saying that tenants in this country number over 15 million. Yeah. Anybody who really want to challenge me should bring any records that you can even tell me.
But how did you put together this record?
We have been doing a lot of underground movement and look, today, if you have, say, 2 million housing deficit, right? Our population is now 30 million thereabouts. Now, I am telling you that how many of us can have their own apartment? If you put 100 people, 100, you can't get 10 people with their own apartment. Meaning that 98% of every 100 people are tenants. Just suppose that number with the population of this country. So if I say 15 million, so why don't you care about 15 million people? And you think that they can't rent, they can't do anything, and you even think that you play second fiddle. You are interested in education, in building bridges, in building roads, but shelter, common shelter, you think...
What do you expect government to do?
At least.
I mean, one of the things that the NPP administration has done is put something in their manifesto that talks about making it easier, giving people loans to rent. Is that good enough for you? And what do you expect as an association?
In fact, we had opportunity to meet the Vice President on the 3rd of September. And he had to explain himself the importance of that particular rent scheme program that they are bringing to board. Certainly, I wouldn't say it's bad, because at least some category of people are going to benefit. But the fact is, really the informal sector, those who constitute majority of the bracket of suffering will not benefit. So if you're talking about giving monthly support or monthly support to some people, then I don't think majority of people will benefit. And the informal sector, the truck pushers, the market women, and the communities, how do they benefit? So it's not about few people. And anytime they are bringing any program or any project into being, they are talking about the public service. They are talking about the police. They are talking about the military. They are talking about the security services. They are talking about people who earn income. So if you're not in the public sector, all their policies is geared towards public sector people. Nurses, doctors, teachers, NAGRAT. But we, the market people,
it doesn't...
the market people, Gifty, this is out.
Well, this is an election year. A lot of the politicians are talking about rent. So yes. Maybe when, as you keep sharing, you said you've met the vice president. Yes. As you keep sharing your concerns, maybe there will be some good and lasting responses to them. I want you to take a look. Let's take a look at this story. We'll come back and then we'll wrap up our conversation on your expectations. By the way, we'll let you know also that EcoBank is providing some very nice mortgage packages. But take a look at this story.
The just ended JoyNews Habitat Fair Clinic focused on housing in Ghana and the numerous challenges that have bedeviled homes acquisition in Ghana. In preparation for the main Habitat Fair, this week sought to create avenues for easy home acquisition in Ghana. General Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Development Association, Samuel Amega-Ibo, says Ghana's housing deficit is worsening by the day and there's the need to bridge it.
Unfortunately, the deficit is worsening by the day. I remember in 2010 when UN Habitat, and then at that same time we had a national housing census conducted. So the two data combined together, they were able to determine that our housing deficit was 1.7 million at that time. And if you look at how much we needed over a 10-year period, vis-a-vis what we are able to supply on the market, you realize that there was a big shortfall. And so adding on from that time, that is why we were able to say that as of last year or so, we then said that the deficit has gone up from the 1.7 million to over 2 million. And so we haven't done very well to overcome it, but we as private estate developers like Greda, we are working in a very harsh environment, and so we are doing our best. But when it comes to affordable housing, there has to be commitment from government to make it possible.
Samuel Amega-Ibo added that Ghana's mortgage products only favors people in the upper class.
The general earnings of Ghanaians is very low. And so if you look at the various mortgage products that we have on the market, it only favors those who are in the upper bracket. And so if you had listened to the conversation we had on Joy FM, for example, you realize that Republic Bank was saying that the government housing mortgage that has been launched, for example, which is going for 11.9% with them, vis-a-vis what the general market is at 24%, it is targeted at the private sector. Now, if it is targeted at the private sector, who in the private sector can access it, even though it is a cheaper one that government has initiated? He said those who are earning beyond 3 million are those, 3,000, Ghana cedis, are those who can access up to about 150,000 Ghana cedis. Then the question is, how many of us get that salary of 3,000 Ghana cedis?
Ghana's housing deficit has passed 2 million, and while successive governments are making efforts at dealing with this, EcoBank, a leading lender in the real estate development space, is giving the general public the opportunity to own homes without hassle. The JoyNews Habitat Fair provided opportunities to many potential property owners to become abreast of the processes leading to acquiring their houses. Many stakeholders in the industry will share and educate the prospective homeowners on what to do to secure their houses with ease in the main Habitat Fair this November. From land acquisition, sale, starting to build, using the right materials, completing the buildings to paintings and fittings, all that is needed. The Habitat Fair will be a one-stop shop for all your housing needs.
And indeed, we're bringing you the Habitat Fair in partnership with EcoBank Ghana. You do check with EcoBank Ghana. They have some really interesting packages for mortgaging. And if you want to, I mean, it's difficult. It's not that easy, but they're trying to make it easier. So check with EcoBank and get an understanding of what they have. So let me wrap up with you, Mr. Poku. I was asking you behind the scenes whether you've assessed, what the NPP is saying in the manifesto and what the NDC is saying in their manifesto about housing, and whether it convinces your members enough. If not, what do you want? Let's wrap up with that.
Thank you very much, Gifty. I think if you listen to NPP people or the NPP manifesto, it has said a lot of things. One, National Housing Authority is going to be established. Two, National Housing Fund is going to be established, and that is within the confines and the requirements of the National Housing Policy. Now, we begin to believe in that a bit, because almost about so many years, none of them go to that tangent of even trying to implement a National Housing Policy. But clearly, MPP has been very bold enough, and we are going to take them to task, for what they have said. With the NDC, they were also trying to, tell us what they want to do, especially they want to review the Rent Act. The same MPP also says so. But if you look at NDC's one, you will see a portion where they are looking at a minimum of 200,000
housing units.
20,000, not 200, sorry, 20,000
housing units.
Housing units. Now, if you divide this one by the Eastern, they are building
the number of people who need
it is nothing to write on this. It doesn't convince me at all.
I see. Well, we'll leave it here. But like I said, check with EcoBank. They have a very interesting package. Mr. Opoku, thank you very much for coming.
You are welcome.
Frederick Opoku is the General Secretary of the National Tenants Union of Ghana, and they look to engage landlords or engage the rent authorities about rent-related issues. Let's go to the Electoral Commission headquarters. We told you that at 4, they had indicated that at 4 they would bring us an update on the presidential nominations filed for the 2020 polls. Kwesi Parker-Wilson is standing by to bring us up to speed. As you know, 17 individuals and their running mates have already submitted their nominations to run as president on December 7. And they will all know their fate when the Electoral Commission chairperson takes the seat in the podium there. Parker is our man on the ground. Hello, Parker.
Hello, Gifty.
Right, we see that the stage is set and it looks like they're ready. What are we to expect? Is it to disqualify some people and qualify some others?
Right, so it's just an update of the nomination. And you recall that just about 2 weeks ago, 17 candidates actually filed nomination to contest in this year's election. Now, today is going to be a big day for some of them. I'm sure most of them are anxious, waiting to hear from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission as to whether they have qualified to officially contest in the December election. So in just about 10 to 15 minutes, we are told the chairperson and her two deputies will be at the conference room to let the whole world and, of course, the electorate to know who qualified to contest in this year's election. I mean, some of the EC officials actually are here. The head of Public Affairs Directorate, Madame Seviano herself is here. I see the Director of Training as well. Mr. Bodo is also here, and some other EC officials. So, and of course, the media, the press, we are also ready to cover this announcement or this announcement that the chairperson will be delivering to the people of the country.
It's certainly interesting how they're feeling, and I was going to ask you whether you're close to any of them, and if they'd like to talk to us about how they're feeling right now.
Unfortunately, we don't have any of the candidates present yet. I'm sure they are glued to JoyNews and Joy FM, and will hopefully have the feeling that the Electoral Commission itself, I won't mention a name that they have qualified. So the EC did not invite them. I'm sure they've done all their background checks, especially those from the shores of this country or the beyond the College of Ghana. About 4 of them, independent candidates, were living outside. They want to contest. So EC had to do all their background checks to ensure that indeed all the people who endorsed their form are registered voters. So they are waiting, watching JoyNews, listening to Joy FM to see whether the EC has approved their nomination to contest in this election.
Parker, we'll be standing by here and we'll cross over right back to you when the Electoral Commission chairperson takes her seat to address the nation. Thank you so much for that update. Kwesi Parker-Wilson there is a man on the ground and he's checking to find out for us what the Electoral Commission is going to say about the 17 people who have filed their nominations. I mean, will they all make it on that ballot sheet, which will look very long, I must say, or will some of them be dropped? We'll wait and see. But that's it for the show for now. And there's more news at myjoyonline.com. I'm Gifty Ando Apia. It's been a pleasure having you. We'll do this again tomorrow, God willing.